Good morning, it's 10 a.m. here in Seoul. You're watching Arirang News with me, Oh Young, filling in for Shin Se-min. An unprecedented battering for the world's oil markets. US oil prices crashed to a record low below $0 a barrel, following a double whammy of the coronavirus crisis and an oversupply. COVID-19 infections continue to soar past 2 million worldwide. The death toll is also increasing, but resistance is heating up against government-placed lockdowns as people lose their paychecks. There were no COVID-19 cover-ups. That's what the World Health Organization claims as it shoots down accusations made by President Donald Trump. Trump continues to slam the Global Health Agency, saying it conspired with China to conceal the initial spread of the coronavirus. Our top story this morning. US oil prices have become technically worthless as crude futures collapsed below $0 on Monday. That's the first in history as concerns over weak energy demand reached a historic high in light of the coronavirus pandemic. The massive crash on the oil market spilled over to Wall Street, but the declines were far less pronounced. Hong Yu reports.
U.S. crude oil futures ended the first trading of the day at minus $37.63 a barrel, entering negative territory for the first time ever. The plunge has been unprecedented in its velocity. The price was around $60 a barrel at the turn of the year, less than 4 months ago. Oil prices fell off a cliff due to oversupply as billions of people around the world are forced to stay home due to the coronavirus pandemic. With factories shuttered worldwide and far less air and road traffic, a record 160 million barrels of oil is sitting idle in tankers around the world. And oil companies are short of storage tanks for crude to be delivered next month. Brent crude, the international standard, fell nearly 9% on Monday to $25.57 a barrel.
Well, first of all, the negative price was in the expiring May contract, which expires tomorrow. So it really what we're seeing is what we've been talking about for many weeks, the fact that crude stocks are so high that there's no storage, and there's no storage available at Cushing at any price, even at negative 50, negative $60, which is the carry between May and June. Clearly, it's not positive for the economy.
The June WTI contract was higher at $20.43 a barrel, but experts say with storage most likely to remain full for the next weeks, even months, it would take a while for oil futures to pick up. In response, U.S. stocks closed lower Monday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 2.44%, the S&P 500 1.8%, and Nasdaq 1%. Hong Yu, Arirang News.
The total death toll worldwide from COVID-19 is edging closer to 170,000, and the number of cases is almost certain to surpass 2.5 million before too long. Making matters worse, government crackdowns imposed to try and mitigate the spread of the virus are increasingly fanning social unrest in numerous countries. Lee Seung-jae reports.
New York State has become the epicenter of the COVID-19 pandemic in the United States. On Sunday, the death toll in the state topped 14,000, while the daily death toll on Sunday fell below 500 for the first time since April 1st. Another 478 patients still succumbed to the virus. In the 51 days since New York confirmed its first case, it now has over 240,000 COVID-19 cases and counting. While the data appears to show the virus may have peaked, it's uncertain how long and how steep the descent will be. In France on Monday, the nation reported 547 new COVID-19 deaths, despite tentative signs the epidemic was starting to flatten out. France's death toll is now more than 20,000, the fourth most number of deaths reported worldwide. On a positive note for France, the number of COVID-19 patients in intensive care fell for the 12th straight day. Italy, once the epicenter of the outbreak in Europe, continues to see its death toll rise, reporting 454 new deaths on Monday, surpassing 24,000 in total. With the second most COVID-19 deaths in the world and still struggling to contain the virus, Italy is delaying local and regional elections for the first time since the mid-1940s. The elections, which have been scheduled to take place over a 3-week period in May, will now take place over a 3-month window between September 15th and December 15th. With the pandemic raging worldwide, some are taking to the streets in protest, calling for their respective governments to support those most affected by the virus. Residents in the poorer areas of Bogota, Colombia's capital, took to the streets to demand authorities make good on promises of aid, as more and more families are struggling to survive the lockdown. People in India also came out in force, calling for an easing of the nationwide lockdown, as citizens forced out of employment are unable to financially support their families. Israel also saw demonstrations. People stood 2 meters apart in the heart of Tel Aviv to protest against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who is under criminal indictment on 3 corruption charges. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
In an apparent response to US President Donald Trump's continued criticism of the World Health Organization, the head of the global health body claims nothing has or is being hidden from the US or any other country. Such remarks come as the Trump administration last week decided to suspend US funding to the WHO, accusing the organization of covering up the spread of COVID-19 after the virus first emerged in China. Kim Jong-un reports.
The head of the World Health Organization said during a video press conference on Monday that there is nothing hidden from the United States regarding its coronavirus response, adding that American experts have been a crucial part of the organization's efforts.
But at the same time, having CDC staff means there is nothing hidden from the US from day one, because these are Americans who are working with us, and it just comes naturally, and they just tell what they're doing. And for WHO, it's open. We don't hide anything. It's open. Not only for CDC, them sending messages or others, we want all countries to get the same message immediately.
Such comments seem to be aimed at President Trump, who has lashed out against the organization for its severe mismanagement of the global response to the coronavirus. Accusing the WHO of covering up information to paper over China's inability to contain the virus, Trump decided to suspend Washington's funding last week. WHO Chief Dr. Tedros also said that over the next 4 months, the organization will ship nearly 30 million test kits and 180 million surgical masks to countries with weak public health systems. The Director General added that over 100 countries have joined its efforts to evaluate therapeutics for COVID-19. Welcoming the accelerated development and validation of tests to detect COVID-19 antibodies, he said this will contribute to helping the international community understand the extent of infection among the global population. Kim Jong-un, Arirang News.
The US state of Maryland has acquired 500,000 COVID-19 testing kits from South Korea. Maryland Governor Larry Hogan said Monday that he and the First Lady welcomed the Korean plane with the kits on Saturday local time, after the couple had made a personal request to South Korea's ambassador to the US in March. The governor told the New York Times on Monday that the lack of testing is the #1 problem facing the states. Maryland has conducted more than 70,000 virus tests so far. According to Johns Hopkins University, the state has 12,000 confirmed cases and a death toll of around 500. US President Trump says he has rejected the sum that South Korea has offered to pay towards defense costs. Speaking at a White House news conference on Monday, he said Seoul has offered Washington a certain amount of money and he has rejected it. He added the US wants Seoul to pay a big percentage, and it's a question of whether Seoul will contribute to defending its own nation. Calling South Korea a very rich country, Trump stressed that the US has been protecting South Korea for over 80 years, and Seoul's payment of $1 billion a year is just a portion of its entire costs. The Bank of Korea will supply its fourth round of dollar funding to local banks through the South Korea-US currency swap agreement that was reached last month. The $60 billion currency swap with the Federal Reserve was made to prevent a foreign exchange liquidity crunch in South Korea. The central bank will hold an online auction to provide up to $4 billion in short-term loans in the coming hours. Successful bidders will receive the loans on Thursday. South Korea's Hyundai Motor and Samsung Electronics have resumed operations in Russia, which had been temporarily shut down due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Samsung says its home appliances plant in Kaluga resumed operations early last week, after it was shuttered for a fortnight. Samsung explained that it's strictly abiding by quarantine guidelines. Hyundai Motor has also resumed operations at its St. Petersburg plant, but it has downsized to a single production shift from its original 3. Hyundai's St. Petersburg plant can manufacture more than 200,000 cars a year. The number of confirmed COVID-19 patients in South Korea has been on a sharp decline for days now, but medical staff in the country are still working very hard to fight the virus. Recognizing their hard work, some good-hearted people in South Korea are doing what they can to show their gratitude. Kim Jong-un went to meet them and files this report.
A group of African refugees, mainly from the Congolese community, have gathered together to pack these cheer-up kits. The kits, which include snacks and instant rice products, will be sent to medical workers. The refugees have made 30 kits and said they wanted to give something back after all the love they have received in Korea.
Korea is our second country. We are living here, and it cannot be fair when my fellow members are in trouble or in difficult period, I'm not taking care of him.
Some of them said that although they couldn't give much, they are still happy to share what they can.
After packing the so-called cheer-up kits for medical workers who are still taking care of coronavirus patients, the refugees wrote them letters to show their gratitude.
All the medical staff, they're really our true heroes. And they're really doing much to fight this pandemic, and we just want to encourage them, and that they have to know that they are in our prayer, and we always pray for them to be strong, not to get infected, so that we can fight all together this pandemic.
The refugees gave the kits to the Korea Red Cross so that they could be sent to medical workers, and also donated some money to help the charity. And they aren't the only ones showing gratitude. Patients who have fully recovered have sent snacks and letters to medical staff, and citizens in Gyeongsang-buk-do province have sent letters to the local Red Cross to show their appreciation for the charity's work. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has reportedly undergone cardiovascular surgery. According to Daily NK source in North Korea, Kim is currently recovering at his residence in Gyeongbuk-do province after receiving surgery on April 12th. There had been speculation that Kim Jong-un might have health issues as he did not appear on North Korean founder Kim Il-sung's birthday for the first time since he came to power. But the North's official Korean Central News Agency reported on Monday that Kim has sent a birthday message to the president of Cuba, implying that Kim is carrying out his duties as usual.
Good morning. Chilly conditions are forecast to hang around today. The daily highs will stay nearly 10 degrees below the seasonal norm, so dress warmly on your way out, and it's shaping up to be even chillier tomorrow. And actually, it could feel a lot colder than what the thermometer shows because of strong gusts of wind. Parts of Gangwon-do province are already under a strong wind advisory, while a preliminary strong wind advisory is in place for other regions, including here in the capital. Highs in Seoul will only reach 10 degrees Celsius this afternoon, and southern parts of the country will also see readings going 2 to 5 degrees lower than the season norms. but we'll see more sunshine than clouds today, but fine dust will be bad in most regions, so be mindful of that. Do expect a sprinkle snap to stay in place for the remainder of the week before the temperatures rise again this weekend. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for viewers around the globe.
That's all the news we have for now, but we will be back at noon Korea time with our midday newscast. Bye for now.